So welcome to this little menopause Q&A, which I've labeled as a pop-up. So that means you could pop up with questions as well. And just as by way of introduction, I'm Caroline Gaskin and I'm a homeopath. I lead with homeopathy, but I'm a natural health practitioner, providing lifestyle, diet information for people, but leading with menopause currently because there is so much work to be done in the menopause space, so much that we need to understand, so much that we're now exposed to, environmentally and through poor food, not necessarily by our own choice. But I spoke to somebody this week who works closely with a biodynamic farmer. So she's not just organic, but she's planting in times with the seasons. And she said, even I put mineral drops in my water. So yeah. The soil is depleted. It's very difficult to get adequate nutrition from our food. So we might need to add some extras in. That's often the case at menopause, that we need to add something in rather than take things away. And women are very good at taking things away from their life in order to achieve goals. If I cut out this, if I don't do that, then I will get so-and-so. But actually at menopause, it's often a case of adding goodness in, perhaps targeted goodness. And you'll often hear me say, and feel free to ask me about any of these, that the three things that we really need to do are sort out our microbiome, add in magnesium, and take more essential fatty acids. And somebody said to me today, oh, I thought seed oils were bad for us. I'm like, no, seed oils in general are good as long as they're cold pressed, they're organic, and we're not focusing on seed oils that are rich in omega-6s. And by that, we need some omega-6s in our lives, but by that, I was thinking of things like canola, corn oil, which and a lot of the sunflower oil, which is really not very good quality or has the wrong profile for us to be consuming so much. And of course, that's what we tend to eat when we go out. Is food can be cooked in oils that we know nothing about unless we ask questions. So there's a lot of health information around, which is a bit misleading or not quite right, and we need to dig a bit deeper. And that's why every day I'm called to work again with menopause, because people are asking questions, women are asking questions. How can I best be supported through this period of time in my life when so much is changing, so much is going on for me? So I just want to ask if there's any immediate questions. Anybody got anything that they would love to ask? And just unmute your mic.
Yeah, can I ask a quick one in relation to fatty acid question you've just? I'm
Yeah.
trying to get my omegas right at the moment, and
Yeah.
I've introduced sea buckthorn,
Yeah.
which it has little bits of the other oils in as well, but I
Yeah.
don't know how to balance it, how many of those to take, and how many of things like I always took 2 omega 3 a day prior to that.
Yeah. So sea buckthorn, I believe, I haven't got my notes in front of me, but I believe it's rich in omega-7s,
Seven.
and it's particularly good for menopause. It's particularly useful for vaginal dryness. So I also see it in a combination that I use with a couple of other quite unusual fatty acids. Omegas, fatty acids, the same thing, for brain fog, for brain health, for older people. So I really like it. There's something juicy about it. It grows in northern climates. It's like a little orange berry that's actually quite abundant. You get up to Scotland, you get up to the colder climates, which implies that it's something that we need to keep us going through the winter months. So there's little berries tend to be about keeping going through the winter months. And this year, for instance, there's a lot of this. We've had a really big plum harvest. Um, Blackberries are really ripe. Elderberries are really ripe. These are the kind of things that help us through the winter. So I would tend to use it in the winter months and through menopause to help with us dealing with colder environment, more restricted elements, if you like. And In terms of how much, I would probably just follow what it says on the label. I wouldn't, necessarily take extra unless it wasn't doing for me what I wanted in terms of something like vaginal dryness. So I've never really encouraged women to take more than what Pharma Nord says on the label of their straight sea buckthorn, for instance, and it seems to work. So
So you wouldn't take extra omega-3 because there's only very small amounts of omega-3 in the
no, you could
combination.
take extra. Absolutely, I would take extra omega-3. I wouldn't take more
Ah,
of the sea buckthorn
no,
that
no,
it
that's
says
what
on
I
the
was
label.
asking about,
Yeah,
combining the
yeah.
two. Okay.
I think you'd be fine with omega-3s. I took them up to or it's probably combined, but there you want more of the omega-3s. I took them up to 3,000 at times in menopause because I really felt like I needed that much essential fatty acid. And how would you know? If my essential fatty acid profile is good, my nails are strong. If my amino acid ratio is good, my nails are strong. If I'm taking an essential fatty acid and my nails start to split or crumble or break easily, then I know that it's not working for me. So we do have individual genetic profiles, which mean that some of us don't absorb essential fatty acids as well as others. So we do, that's something that sometimes people dive into, is having a DNA test to see how well they're metabolizing essential fatty acids, because the pathways to transforming them to what we need for function are not always as efficient as they can be, for some people. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I've got lots that we can talk about, but I'd rather respond to questions. Someone shout out for me. Karen, have you got anything you want to know? Karen W. Or
Not
even that's come up in
specifically.
clients this week, I was thinking.
Yeah, not specifically. Or not specifically for myself, I don't think. I think it's more a case of learning for others for me.
Yeah, exactly. And so much of our own journey is what we bring into the space of learning for others. So I'm going to go through a couple of books that I found really useful. One of the questions I got asked, someone's just asked about a blood sugar question, so I'll come back to that in a minute. But one of the questions I got asked this week was about dry nasal passages, and was that something, dryness in the nose, was that something that goes with menopause? And I thought, well, I don't actually know if it is, so I went and looked it up, and it is actually listed as a symptom associated with menopause. And certainly dryness of mucous membranes can be, so that could be vaginally. Often women get dry eyes. But a good question is how well hydrated we are. So this is a book called Quench by Dana Cohen and Gina Brea. And I find it really useful for people who are not very good at drinking water, and for people who consistently show up as not being very well hydrated, because it teaches you what foods to eat. Something as simple as an apple a day, for instance, will help you be better hydrated because of what's in an apple. There's a great little recipe that they have for coconut water in the morning with a few chia seeds in it, a squeeze of lime juice, some salt, which by its matrix will help you hydrate. So a really useful book if dryness persists. You think, well, I hydrate well, I keep up my essential fatty acids, but I've still got an issue with dehydration. Or I see my osteopath and they ask the question, oh, how much water do you drink? Because the system reads as dehydrated. Another really helpful book is James Nestor's book about breath. And what he talks about, he was a mouth breather. And what he talks about is how important oxygenation is to us. So very simple: water, oxygenation. oxygen is our first element that we need. And if we're not breathing correctly, we're not going to be, with lung function, we're not going to be absorbing correctly. So, stress will take us into a breath pattern, which is short, and thereby we are not oxygenating correctly, and we will be utilizing our nutrients in a different way. So much of menopause is about coming back to balancing stress levels. And there are many women who I recommend yin yoga, restorative yoga, learning to breathe. And it's something that we focus on in the third session, I think it is, on the natural menopause course, where we look at stress and its impact on our hormones and how fundamental it is to learn to breathe. So great book, some really surprising statistics in it. And one of the things that he's a proponent of, which I certainly sometimes use, not often, is mouth taping. So mouth taping is where you tape your mouth to breathe better at night. And I did try it myself to see actually what happened. I'm not a mouth breather, but it can be really helpful to get people to breathe efficiently through the nose. They've got things like sleep apnea, or poor breath at night. So this is another really good book about sleep. So understanding why we sleep and how sleep disruption affects us and what kind of things help our sleep. So again, on the course, something that we talk about, I think it's in the third session with me, is we talk about the importance of getting enough light into our lives. So if we get light, and Fiona and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, it's one of her favorite things to do is, let me just let in somebody, is to get light in the morning before, not long after you wake up, but before your day gets going. So 10 minutes of sunlight in the morning will mean, or more if you can, will mean that your whole system starts up to prime yourself to get enough melatonin by the end of the day to want to go to sleep. So we need light for so many functions in the body. And so getting out in the morning, for instance, will pitch us into a good state to go to sleep at the end of the day. Getting light after lunch, again, really good. And I know today I haven't had enough light because I've been at the laptop all day. So what I've had today is blue light, indoor light. That's not enough to have good eyesight, to feel vital by the end of the day. So that could be really helpful, knowing how much coffee we drink and avoiding caffeine after, say, 12 o'clock would be really good for us. Other little things around sleep, I really like the sour cherry juice personally before bedtime, because that helps give me the melatonin, like the precursors to melatonin in the gut. So there's lots of things we can do to enhance our sleep, and we've got a whole kind of list of sleep hygiene things. So if there's anything you want to ask about sleep, please jump in. That's just 3 books I've mentioned, but I'm going to mention something about diabetes, which Maria's asked. Any support regarding the pre-diabetic state? So the state where the system is starting to show irregular blood sugar. And my main advice would be to understand the things that disrupt our blood sugar. So tea, coffee, alcohol, a carbohydrate-rich diet, stress, excess sweating, the things which imbalance our system. Sometimes not getting a good protein ratio in the diet would predispose us to having, if we've got too much carbs and not enough protein, for instance, that would predispose us to creating sugars really quickly in the body. if we're stressed, not only does that deplete the action of raised blood sugar, for instance, is what happens when we're stressed, because what's happening in that situation is we're providing the body with sugar energy to defeat the aggressor. So we raise the blood sugar for more energy, and it's supposed to be a temporary state. So often we come back to what is it that's causing us stress in our lives that we need to deal with in order to balance blood sugar. I'm just going to pause for 1 second, just 1 minute. It's so funny, my cat just came in and I was a bit worried he had a mouse, so I just thought I'd find out. Luckily he hasn't. So yeah, so to balance blood sugar, or to balance the pre-diabetic state, I'd be assessing diet and lifestyle to some extent. And it could be that we need to factor in, and in fact, don't want a problem with diabetics, to come back to the last conversation about sleep and light, is diabetics often need more light in their lives, more time outside. And I remember Robert Davison teaching us that when we, when I was first studying homeopathy. So light, avoiding or cutting back on some of the Western things. So the things that we tend to have too much of in our diet, wheat as well, and processed foods. So processed foods with the kind of hidden sugars in and hidden not very good salt, for instance. So what else comes up with the oh yeah, and about the other thing I was going to say is getting magnesium into your life. Magnesium is key for so many different processes in the body, but if we sorry, come here, you. I'm not quite sure why this one. You want to come and say hello? Quite sure why he's so noisy. But yeah, so magnesium is key for balancing blood sugar, for relaxing muscle, for drawing up certain minerals, and it's very easily depleted under stress. So that's why I'm a big kind of proponent of getting magnesium into our lives generally, not just specifically at menopause, but because it's the antidote to a lot of the things about Western lifestyle that plague us. And yeah, any other questions around that, Maria? You can drop it in the chat box if you want. I don't know if does that sound relevant at all, that any of those things need to change in your life? Or you might not even have been asking about it for you. And just a quick welcome to you, Maria O, who's joined as well. Yeah, I don't know if there are any more questions around the pre-diabetic state, which is something that could flag up at any time in anyone's life. It's not necessarily something that's specific to menopause, but I would say that most women in menopause could do with magnesium for all sorts of reasons. So if somebody had problems falling asleep, for instance, I would say get magnesium into your life. I was speaking to a client today who she's in an osteopenic state, so her bones are beginning to change, but she hasn't got osteoporosis. And I would say she definitely needs to make magnesium her friend, that it needs to be part of her life in some way every day. And great question, Maria, how many what types of magnesium to take? So she's taking a supplement which has some plant sourced magnesium in it, and I suggested that she just adds in regular Epsom salt baths or the magnesium spray oil. So there's quite a few companies that make magnesium spray oil, so that she's using the magnesium dermally, and her system's able to draw up what it needs on top of the supplement that she's taking. I tend to go for supplements that are have got a good blend of all the main 4 different magnesium, so glycine, citrate, taurate, and there's bioglycine. I can't remember the other one, but generally these days there are some magnesium supplements on the market that are better than they used to be. I didn't used to recommend them because they all had so many fillers and binders in them. And if your system is taking in fillers and binders that it doesn't know how to digest, then you can have all sorts of problems digestion wise as a result of supplements with poor ingredients. So I do have a little document. Let me look it up about the balance of magnesiums. Just give me a moment and I will find that. See where it is. I'm a great one for cataloging and storing lots of information on all sorts of things. So let's just have a look at, I think it's this little guide. Yeah, here we go. So magnesium is essential for over 80% of metabolic functions in the body. The current statistic is that more than 50% of the US population fail to meet the estimated average requirement. Although I have to say that I've seen statistics that say as high as 80%. So magnesium deficiency leads to multiple diseases, cardiovascular, diabetes, respiratory problems, neurological disorders, etc. So let's just have a look at, I think it's this document that's got, I've got a ton of stuff on this. It's got some, are you getting enough? It's got some recommended amounts. Let's have a look. Yeah, as you age, interestingly, I've never looked at this section of the doc. As you age, you need more magnesium. So from 31 to 50 years old, and then 51 years plus, women need 320 micrograms of magnesium daily. We need more in pregnancy. We need more when we're breastfeeding. Interesting. Yeah, we need more as we get older, generally speaking. Interestingly, men seem to need it at a higher ratio than women do. And it might not be this document that breaks down the different types. Let me have another look here. Let's have a little scroll through and see if we've got, I know there's a lovely little graph in one of these. Yeah, I'll keep looking. Let's see if we've got another question. Not normally having processed food, mainly eating veg and fruit. Not really sure what's causing it. Sometimes not enough sleep. So you're asking which magnesium to get to sleep, or which magnesium? Which magnesium to get for sleep, or not quite sure what you're asking there, Maria. Let me know specifically. Hello, noisy cat. I'll just have another look for both, really. So let's just see if I've got that, because there is actually specifics on which magnesium for which for what condition. I don't carry that information. I always have to look it up. So I might get back to you later on that. Let's have a look at another couple of books. So I've got various herbal books that I turn to and I really like. Anything by Anne McIntyre, really well laid out books where she talks about a herb and really talks you through really beautifully what it's for. This one is the Complete Woman's Herbal. So she's got, when you're using herbs, these are material substances. So the more you take, the bigger the effect will be. And we could use herbs because they're rich in a particular mineral or vitamin for us, or it could be that they have an element which has a healing or curative property. What herb is actually doing, as are some of the superfoods, but particularly with herbs, is we are either blocking an action in the body or we're enhancing an action in the body. And so we need to be careful that there isn't a contraindication with any medication that we're taking, and that the herbs that are being put together are fine in those proportions. And then we get some herbs that are particularly well proven. And this one is hawthorn, which we use for heart health. It's proven to reduce cholesterol, for instance. So we can use herbs, either go and see a herbalist or use a herb like from a company like Vogel's, which is really well established, or go to a herbalist and a herbal shop and get a herbal combination made up for us. And just to be aware that you're dealing with something which is a material substance, and as I say, it can have a push shove effect and make something happen. So you want to see that there is a good result. You know, if you're taking something like sage and it's helping with your hot flushes, great. If it doesn't really do much for you, then, you know, check that you're taking enough. And if not, obviously adjust the dosage, but then go on to looking at other herbs that could do the same thing. So it could be red clover suits you. There's an awful lot of information out there saying, take this, but it might not be appropriate for you and what's going on for you. So do read the detail on herbs. Another great book, really good book, Natural Alternatives to HRT by Dr. Marilyn Glenville. It's been around for years and is full of great advice on, you know, so here she's talking about osteoporosis, and she talks about all the individual minerals that you need besides magnesium. So the first one she talks about is calcium supplements in general. I would tend towards calcium from a plant source. I would try to get most of my stuff from plant sources. So when, you know, talking about vitamin C, for instance, vitamin D, I would want to go to the plant kingdom. And now there's so much more information available, say when it comes to something like mushrooms. You know, there's so much more information than there used to be about how to get your vitamin D from mushrooms, for instance. I'm just going to look at, while we're talking about herbs, if you're trying to keep your hormones levels up, estrogen especially, in menopause, to avoid bone, brain, and heart problems, how do you keep the levels up long term? As I think you only take them for a short time, only for liver safety. Some herbs we can take for a long period of time, and some have a limited period of time that we can take them. So if in doubt, go to a qualified herbalist. But what happens with your estrogen and your progesterone post-menopause is that you don't need to continue to take as much of everything as you did in menopause. Once you've achieved that balance and you're in a place of producing the estrogen and progesterone that you need post-menopause, then you can tailor things off. So today I was working with a client who had various symptoms, some weight gain, some dryness, a lot of stress going on in her life, some lower back aches and pains, and all of those symptoms around the menopause have cleared up. So really what I need to keep in place for her is some remedies to help balance her stress. And I said to her, she can now taper off the supplements that she's been on, because we've got her to a place of balance. And I don't think she's going to continue to need those. What we needed to continue to look at was supporting her bones, because that's a particular issue for her. So when you know what your susceptibilities are, the things that are there for you, you know, I believe that I've strengthened my bones through diet, exercise, and lifestyle. At this point in time, I don't need to continue to support my bones. I can keep up the exercise, I keep up the magnesium, but I don't really need to take a supplement for my bones, because I can tell that my bones are strong at this point in time. And so it slightly depends on our family history and our health history. You know, if somebody, for instance, had a history of anorexia, then I would expect them to need to take minerals for longer than somebody who had a more robust diet throughout their life. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. Thank you. So it's, yeah, it's really important to listen into our symptoms. So if for instance, you were taking red clover for hot flushes and the hot flushes go on the red clover, then I would say, great, time to taper off that herb, because it's done its work. And it might be with this client that I saw earlier on today, she does really well on a remedy, a homeopathic remedy called sepia. So I've said to her, keep that in every so often. We don't need to take it as often as we used to, but it's a very good remedy for her. She's still got the background stress, but we'll just keep that remedy in on a much less frequent schedule. So just to have a look at another couple of books I've got. I just wanted to mention another herbal book I've got. This one is Susan Weed. Any books by her are fantastic. These are really experienced herbalists. So I've just opened it at the page on red clover, for instance. You know, and she talks about it also to ease anxiety. It's to improve memory, clear confusion, increase energy. So go to a good resource, Anne McIntyre or Susan Weed. I wouldn't sort of just rely on hearing that something's good. Have a good read, see if it fits you. Garden sage, another one for, think of this for hot flushes, but she also talks about it for headaches, dizziness, emotional swings, feeling irritated, depressed, strengthens the liver, relieves cramps and flooding, you know, so they can have many actions as well. But just remember they're material substances, and with our homeopathics, they are more energy medicine. So there's less contraindication when it comes to other types of medication. This is a really nice book that somebody gave me by Farida Sharan called Creative Menopause. And she again works through lots of symptoms around menopause, and solutions, herbs, diet, homeopathy, therapies, etc. Really nice book. Farida Sharam. And I like the term creative menopause. There's another book that I'm really enjoying and I haven't yet finished, but it's called Wise Power, and it's by Alexandra Pope and Shani Hugo Wurlitzer. And this is all about the journey. It's all about how menopause has been. I mean, we're kind of banishing menopause at the moment to a kind of physical process we need to get through. What do we take? What do we do? Without really looking at the fact that it is a time of transformation, an opportunity to let go of some stuff actually and gain something quite new. And that to me is the most exciting aspect about menopause. Let's just see if we've got any more questions. And I tend to personally take, to come back to the magnesium question, I tend to take magnesium in, as I say, Epsom salt baths or the magnesium spray. The magnesium spray oil is magnesium chloride, and Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. But we can get a little drill down to, whether it's going to help our bowel, whether it's going to help our sleep. And I'm just going to have a little look again and see if I can find my notes about which magnesium to take for what. Let's just have a little look about a different document. This little pussycat wants something from me and he's had supper, so I don't know what it is, but I'll find out later. So magnesium 3 and 8, for instance, is important for healthy brain function. So that could be a good one if brain fog is plaguing you. And let's just have a little look and see if there is any mention on this document about the other types of magnesium. Let's just have a little look. And if anybody, here we go. So magnesium glycinate helps, is good because it has very broad absorption and bioavailability. So that's what you'll see in an awful lot of the supplements. You'll see most have that in. Citrate, I know, is very easily derived. So sometimes things occur on the shelves because they're cheap, and I know that of citrate, it's more readily available. Let's just have a little look and see if we've got any more information on that, because I definitely have come across that. And any other questions? Yeah, what I'll do is I'll find out what magnesium's good for what, and I'll put it in the chat box below this when I post it. That's probably easiest. Rather than me looking for that, let's just see if there's anything else there. Good, and let's see if I've just got one last book to share. This is a book, and there are more books out there now, but this is Yoga and the Wisdom of Menopause. So really great. When I was looking at this earlier, just looking at an exercise for opening the pelvic floor area, where of course lots of the action is, and how many of us sit all day at a computer, and how stagnant that area of us can become, which needs to be healthy. So yoga for pelvic health during perimenopause and menopause is about opening up the hip flexor, and we compress the hip flexors when we sit in a chair all day. So simple exercises around that, and the same with opening up the throat in back bends, and is really beneficial for thyroid health, stimulating the thyroid to do its work. Opening the shoulder blades, so we open the heart and the lungs. yeah, lots of great exercise we can do around menopause and areas that we want to target. So I'm going to just quickly pop up a bit of information about the course. Let's just see, I've got one more message come up. The yoga book is called Yoga and the Wisdom of Menopause, and it's by Susa Francina, author of New Yoga is her book for people over 50, and this one is Yoga and the Wisdom of Menopause. It's a really great book. I would say if anyone is a yoga teacher, it would be a fantastic book to use. Let's just screen share a little bit, if I can find my screen share button. There we go. And I just want to share a bit about the course that is coming up, and see if you've got any questions around that. So let's just screen share from the beginning. There we go. And yeah, so I just want to share a little bit about the course. It's a 6-week course. We've run this several times and we've tweaked it a little bit. Rather than deliver all the information in the 6 live sessions, we've pre-recorded some of the webinars on, so we've got on detox, our hormones, and nutrition, and all the menopause symptoms. So you can watch those in your own time. And that makes the live group coaching sessions times when we can talk about course content. So, and you can ask questions. So that becomes, we found a much better way to approach it. So you've all of it, including the live sessions we record, and you get access to that for 6 months. And each week we have a different workbook based on the information that we've been sharing that week. And there are self-care exercises. So as we work through the 6 weeks, we build on a self-care system, if you like, that feeds into an individual plan. So by the end of the course, you're creating an individual plan of what works for you, and you're recognizing what symptoms you've got and what you need. And what we're beginning to find with the course is we're getting women coming back for a second time because they've moved on in their menopause and they are wanting to access the information again to address things as they move into postmenopause, or perhaps as they're in postmenopause. So we include homeopathic remedies in the price of the course, and we curate nutritional supplements so that you, and we give you discounts to those so that you can add in the essentials and then any extras that you need that are specific to you. And we have a WhatsApp group, which is all about daily support and community. And then we get incredible results from the course. So some women experience, as much as 90% improvement in their menopause symptoms. And that's amazing. Even in the first 3 weeks, sometimes women are saying, they deal with stress very differently. And that's fantastic when someone comes in and says, this didn't affect me in the way that it did previously, and I was able to be more balanced and approach it with more balance, leading to less anxiety, for instance, less sleep problems, less joint problems. So the course is very much for whatever stage of menopause you're at. I love it when women come in pre-menopause. They're saying, how can I prepare for the time ahead? Perimenopause is that whole period of time from when symptoms begin to change until they really stop. And when we haven't had symptoms for 12 months, then we're considered to be post-menopause. And that post-menopausal period for us is, really on average for 30 years, 15 years of working life beyond the average age of menopause. So the post-menopause is still a really important period of time to understand how we look after ourselves and to keep those things in balance. And it might be that we've tapered off, the intensity of supplements, but we still need to look after bones, brain, heart, bladder, etc. And we'll be able to listen out for if anything that is showing us that we might need to look after those areas of the body a bit more. So this is great if you can't take HRT and you're looking for support, because that can be quite distressing if you want to take HRT and you realize you can't, or you've taken HRT and it's not been for you. We get a lot of women on the course who want to come off HRT and looking for a natural menopause journey. But we also get women who are taking HRT but are looking to optimize their health. Something's still not sorted. And of course, we get women who've had surgical or chemical menopause and are looking for help, because that means that you've usually been plunged into menopause very extremely, very fast, very quickly. And really, that can be quite distressing if you suddenly get all those menopause symptoms. That can also happen for women who suffer some kind of trauma or huge period of stress. Suddenly, they find themselves in menopause. And again, course is very much about identifying how it is for you and what solutions you need. So 6 live sessions with both of us, me and Fiona Eady, and we're starting this next course next Tuesday, and it's 7 till 8 p.m. We record all the sessions, so if you can't make a session, it's there for you. And the WhatsApp support group is open for 6 months afterwards, and you have access to all the recordings, etc., and obviously us and questions. And I'm going to add in, if you do decide to join and sign up before Sunday, I'm going to add in a couple of extra remedies, my sleep combo and a weekly immune support, because I keep getting asked about that at this time of year. And I also wanted to say a payment plan is available. I keep forgetting to talk about this, but we're absolutely fine if you are thinking, I really want to do this, but can I pay in installments? So, drop me a line about that, ask me about that, because, we would love to welcome you on the course if it's something that feels right for you. So thanks for listening in this evening. Any last minute questions, just shout it out. And if not, I will sign off and go and get some supper. Any last minute hellos? All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Good question. Would the course be good for a relative who got hysterectomy because of cancer? Absolutely. If she is struggling post hysterectomy, then yes. Not everybody struggles post hysterectomy. Most women need some support, but when I talk to women in our mum's generation, they say they were absolutely fine. And but I have to say, because I see clients coming to me for solution, it's very difficult for me to say, but I would definitely say that there's quite a lot post cancer diagnosis and post hysterectomy that can be supported. So thanks a lot. Have a good evening, and I'm sure some of you I will see soon. Yes, and please send the recording out if it's relevant for somebody. That would be great. Thank you. Bye for now.